the anchor of Nigeria now at ONN and the Nightingale Radio International, broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, United States. And I'm also the convener of Africa Unite and Open Nigeria. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I want to deeply and sincerely apologize for our inability to bring you the original program that we were to broadcast this afternoon. No thanks to the network failure from Nigeria. My guest, Mohammed Agani, was upbeat and ready to do justice to the issue of the flooding in Borno State of Nigeria, but unfortunately we could not. We did all we could to establish a connection, but to no avail. So my sincere and deep apologies for that. In its place, we are bringing you the United Nations, and the inequality of its member states. The United Nations that is in a dire need for democratization, and where its democratization is impossible by the standard of those who control it, the body should be dissolved because honestly, it is not serving any purpose anymore. If if the double standards that it is known for persists, why do we have it? United Nations historically was formed in 1945 at the end of their World War, Second World War, their World War, and that sucked countries from around the world into it. And African blood was actually used. A lot of Africans were involved in the fighting that had nothing to do with their continent. At the end of the day, they were made to pay. You know, they paid with their lives, they paid with their resources, they paid with their economy, they paid with their independence, they paid with their sovereignty. Honestly, if you ask me any questions, a sincere question about the United Nations, the UN, the way it is structured, I don't think it was meant to benefit Africa, Africans, and African countries. The United Nations, as it has constituted, has made Africa and African nations elementary school pupils who can never graduate. And we are asking now that we must graduate so that we will be equal to the rest of the world. Yes. How on earth will United Nations, yes, United Nations that says is a compendium of over 190 something countries on earth. Only 5 countries make decisions. Yes, only 5 countries are in the body's Security Council, Permanent Security Council positions are reserved for only 5 countries out of the 194 countries, maybe perhaps 195 now, with the entrance of South Sudan into the equation. So is that democracy? And the United Nations talk about democracy in countries around the world, but itself is not democratized. I don't think that is fair. And that whatever is the reason why the United Nations is not democratized or cannot be democratized must be interrogated now. And people have been raising questions about it. It means that we are all human beings, but still we are not equal. So 194 countries cannot continuously be manipulated and held hostage by 5 countries in the world. So the democratization of the United Nations is now, and it must happen, not just to the benefit of the people who drive it, but for the benefit of the whole world, including Africa, with 54 countries. Africa has the largest warm body, yes, has the largest country in one huge block. So why is it that they have allowed themselves, the leaders of Africa, for instance, have allowed themselves to be used and dumped and to be told what to do as if their high school children. You don't even tell high school children what to do that way anymore in this age and time. So this is the reason why something has to give. And this is the reason why something must change. And this is the reason why people like me and many others are asking this same question. So how come 1 plus 1 cannot be 2? How come 5 plus 5 cannot be 10? How come 20 plus 20 cannot be 40? How come 60 plus 60 cannot be 120? How come 120 plus 120 cannot be 240? This is a question that the United Nations drivers, or whatever they call the leadership, must address. You know, this is the time of a season where countries, they are now in New York. Yes, all the 190 something countries of the earth and their leadership are in New York right now. Yes, making statements. It's an annual ritual. Yes, annual ritual where people come, presidents of countries will come and make statements, talk about their countries, the Africans, they'll come and tell them the stories of wars, stories of indebtedness, begging for debt forgiveness. You know, a continent that has the most resources, that over 35% of the earth resources are domiciled in Africa. But here comes the African leaders come every year to go and beg for aid. Yes, beg for aid when they are supposed to be the richest, from the richest continent of the earth. Something is not right. And it has to do with the way the United Nations is skewed. The United Nations is not skewed for justice. The United Nations is unjust. The United Nations that will keep quiet when, what is it called? Benjamin Netanyahu is destroying a whole people. Yeah, because he has problem with Hamas. That is not United Nations. A United Nations that cannot move and act decisively. A United Nation that is only good at keeping quiet where destructions are taking place in Africa. Yes, it's not the United Nations that we want. I don't want this type of United Nations anymore. If you ask me, I want all African countries to withdraw from it. They are not benefiting anything. They are there now making ridiculous statements. I remember this time in September of 1963, Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia made yet the greatest speech at that United Nations. Yes, until the philosophy which hold one race superior and the other inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned, there will always be war. That statement has not gone away. And that was what Bob Marley put into song. Until the philosophy which hold one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned. Well, everywhere is war. Me say war. And until there's no longer first class and second class citizens of any nation, until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance than the color of his eyes, me say war. And until the basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all without regards to race, me say war. Well, until that day, the dream of lasting peace, world citizenship, and the rule of international morality, hey, we remain but a fleeting illusion to be pursued, but never attained. Well, everywhere is war. Me say war. War in the east, war in the west, war up north, war down south, war. rumors of a war. And until that day, the African continent will not know peace. Because we Africans, we fight, we find it necessary. We know we shall win. Because we are confident in the victory of good over evil. Of good over evil. Well, everywhere is war. Me say war. Yes, all these things are still happening. African countries are still suffering. The African people are still treated with disdain. They are treated like trash. They are treated like less than human beings. Everywhere the black man is on the earth, yes, on earth, he is disrespected, he is disregarded, he is not recognized, regardless of how much they have contributed, regardless of how much Africa is contributing to the growth and the development of the global economy. Africa, that has over 35% of the entire Earth's resources, has the poorest people on Earth. How can you talk about that with the United Nations, this type of United Nations? Why should an African country be in the United Nations? Why should Nigeria be contributing to the United Nations? Why should Ethiopia be making contributions to the United Nations? Why should Ghana be contributing to the United Nations? Why should Senegal be contributing to the United Nations? Why should Liberia be contributing to the United Nations? Why should Zimbabwe be contributing to the United Nations? Why should South Africa be contributing to the United States? Why should Mauritania be contributing? Why should Mali, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, yes, why should they be contributing? Why? Why should Egypt be contributing to the development of the United Nations? Yes, where are thou, United Nations? Democratize now or face dissolution. Democratize now or face withdrawal. Yeah, Africans have come of age, and that is why Bob Marley said it, Emperor Haile Selassie said it, Marcus Mosiah Mugabe said it. The continued disrespect for the black man, yes, we continue to provide questions, moral albatross for the people of the earth. Yes, where are thou, you big industrialized nations? We expect that you should share and you should make the world a place that is habitable to all of us, so we won't have the reason to be fighting one another. What is going on that Africa is left unattended? Yes, Africa is the hub of war. Africa is the hub of poverty. Africa is the hub of hunger and starvation. Africa is the hub of a tragic underdevelopment. Africa is the hell on earth, whereas everything that is needed to build a heaven for the whole of the world resides there. Are you fair, the people of the world? Are you fair? United States, Britain, France, Canada, China, Russia, have you been fair? How long? How long? How long will Africa be this crying, weeping baby, weeping child? The mother of the whole earth has been crying. And all of you, every race on earth took off from Africa. I would think that Africa would be one place where the whole world will gather to say we have to protect this place. Why is it that it is only when they want to come and exploit, take mineral resources, take oil and gas, yes, destroy the environment, that is when they come? Why is it that it is only when they want to create wars in order to distract the people of Africa from asking questions, from looking inwardly to find out who the true enemies are? Why is it that that is when they come to supply Africa guns, supply Africa armored cars, and dangerous weapons to continue to destroy its people and distract themselves from asking these very, very pertinent questions? Yes, Africans, I talk to you. Look at yourselves. Look at your leaders. Yes, look at your leaders. The type of leaders that you are manipulated to produce. Leaders who cannot look at China in its face. Look at leaders who cannot look the United States in its face. Leaders who continue to be subservient to the whims and caprices of imperial Europe, led by France and Britain. Look at you. Have we not made enough mistakes? Have we not messed up our continent? Have we not endangered our generations much more than? Have we fared so well? Why is it that we cannot rethink? Why is it that that renaissance that we have talked about cannot? Why? Why? Why can't we? Look at the state of Nigeria. Nigeria was supposed to be the face of the black race. Look at where Nigeria is. Nigeria is on the canvas. This is what they like to see. They don't want us to unite. All they want us to do is to fight and kill one another. Yes, another stop ranking. Yes, the more we kill, the more they supply us these weapons, the more they create things that will bring about terrorism and banditry, the better for them. Why have we not asked questions? Look at Nigeria, for instance, being led by a drug dealer, being led by a terrorist, being led by a certificate forger, being led by an identity thief. Yes, the Minister of Defense for Nigeria is a terrorist, a bandit, known. And these people know them. This is what they like. African countries, Africa, isn't it time to advise yourself? Isn't it time you truly unite in line with the vision of our founding fathers? Yes, and our great man, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the man who inspired Kwame Nkrumah, the man who prophesied the coronation in 1930 of Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, yes, as emperor. The man who inspired Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, the man who inspired Jomo Kenyatta, Julius Nyerere, Kenneth Kaunda, Nelson Mandela, Samora Machel, Robert Mugabe, and a whole slew of others. Yes, who did their best in their lifetime to create the type of Africa that would be for Africa and the African people. Why have we abandoned the trajectory that would have led us to progress? Isn't it now? Now they are coming back. When they were leaving, somebody, Emperor Haile Selassie, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah stated that the second coming, they will come as investors. How come Africans are always cap in hand? Why is it that we are not industrializing? Why can't we build our financial institutions? Why can't we build anything? Why have we always relied on people from outside to drive our destiny? Look at where we are driving. Why are we not the ones constructing roads in China? Yes, Chinese companies are in Africa. Why do we shamelessly line up 54 African countries, go to China, cap in hand? The emperor of China will give them $1 billion each, and they are rejoicing. Why is it not we that is giving to them? They come and take our resources for free, and then they come and give us pittances, and we are rejoicing, and we are happy. Where are African intellectuals? Yeah, this is the reason I'm saying this, because African heads of state are all over New York disgracing themselves. European leaders came in simple vehicles, little vehicles. African leaders were the ones driving the biggest of all cars, but their people are hungry and dying in their continents. The ordinary, especially Nigerians, I hope you are watching the show, the type of vehicles, the oh my God. Can I describe this disgusting sin that we see? Very wicked. Yes, they are wicked. They refuse to allow us develop. Yes. No. Let's, as much as we want to blame the foreigners, we must blame those who are in the saddle, who pretend to be our leaders. Those in Nigeria, those in Ghana, those in Ivory Coast, those in Gabon, who are not doing what they are supposed to do for the benefit of their people. Those who take our continent's money and take them to France, and take them to Europe, and take them to Britain to bank. Look at small Portugal, what they did in Africa. It is our fault. Now, this is the reason why we are asking questions. This is the reason why we must stand up. This is the reason why we must have more Ibrahim Traore in Africa. Listen to me, Zimbabwe. Listen to me, South Africa. Listen to me, Ghana. Listen to me, Nigeria. Listen to me everywhere. We need more Ibrahim Traore all over Africa. The time is of essence. And that is why they want to kill him. They want to kill him so that business will continue as usual in Burkina Faso. We need more Tiani. We need more Traore. We need more of the young man in Mali. We need more of the young man in Senegal. We need them all over Africa. A new generation of African leaders who will ask questions, who are bold, those who belong to this century, not those driven by colonial mentality, not those who cannot look at the white man in his face. Yes, those are the ones. They are scared of looking at the Chinese. They can't even look at an Indian, in the face. We don't want those anymore. We want African leaders who will stand up and make a case for the African people. Yes, even as much as we want to share with the world, we should be ruled by those who have respect for our people, dignified Africans, those driven by abilities, competency, yes, knowledge, courage to do great things for Africa, and the exceptional content of character required to build, utilize, expand, extend, and sustain capacity for the African people, and with the mind to share with responsible investors who come into Africa with the good of making business and then living up Africa better. Yes, that is what we need right now. We don't need puppets anymore. We don't need imperial puppets anymore. They have not done us any good, and there's no guarantee that they will do us any good. They are evil. They are corrupt. And that is what they like. They like the redneck. They like the roughnecks. They love the criminals among us, so that they will not be able to question them. They don't like people like me who has a lot of questions, who will not want Africa to be played the way they played our ancestors. So it is our call. We in this generation, we must rise up and do what is necessary, what is needful for our people. We must educate our people in the right, using the right means. We must tell our people the truth. We must stop self-hate. Self-hate is the greatest trouble with the African people. A typical African behaves like a crab in a bucket. He doesn't want to escape from being fried. And he will not allow those who want to escape, to find their ways, yes, out of the bucket. That mentality has to stop. This inferiority complex has to stop. Why do we have to be inferior? We were the first. Why should we be inferior to anybody? Why should we feel inferior? Why can't we assert ourselves? Why can't we understand that we are human beings? Yes, with rights to life, rights to choice, right to freedom of expression, right to freedom of association, right to whatever we decide is God, and not what they tell us is God, and the right to self-determination. We have all these rights. Are we exercising them? Are we expressing them? Why is it that We cannot even protect our airspace. Why is it that people from outside will come into Congo to harvest raw materials and leave and plunge that country in war? Majority of Congolese are in refugee camps in their own country, and they say we have United Nations. Where is the United Nations? How are they? Look at what is happening in Palestine. Look at all the atrocities being committed. The United Nations is looking and doing absolutely nothing. Then why should it exist? It should die if it cannot democratize. It should die if it cannot work for everybody. It should die if it cannot promote global unity. It should die if it cannot promote global security. It should die if it cannot provide global security and social justice for the whole of the world. Black, white, Chinese, Indians, and whatever. The earth is supposed to belong to all of us and not to just some people. Yes, and this is why questions that the United Nations must be answering. They will make United Nations, they will bring somebody from their so-called third world and make him Secretary General who cannot do a damn thing. He's handicapped. And then he says anything, they shout him down. Why should 5 countries be vetoing the whole world and plunging all of us, putting us at the risk of mass death? Look at all the madness that is going across the world, especially in Africa. Look at what Nigeria is turning into. Nigeria has been derailed. Yes, Nigeria is drowning in debt. This is what they want. Nigeria is a hub to terrorism. Yeah, everybody is living in fear in Nigeria. People come and murder our people everywhere in their farms, and nowhere is safe in Nigeria. But they say we have United Nations. Where are thou, United Nations? Who do you work for? If you cannot work for the world, it's time for you to close business. If me, a Nigerian, cannot benefit from my country being a member of the United Nations, why should I support my country to continue to be in the United Nations? Yes, the world is in a mess. The United Nations is being quiet. Netanyahu is killing like nobody. Nobody is telling him killing children, murdering elderly, destroying hospitals in the name of fighting Hamas. He's not fighting Hamas. He knows what he's fighting. That is genocide. God created all of us to be equal. No man, God, what he said from the book that I read, that God is for every one of us. But some people said that God is for some people. The Almighty God that I know is for the whole of us. God is not partial, never partial. God did not choose anybody as his own special people. It's politicians that created that status. Nobody deserves to die violently the way people are dying right now. No Israelis have right to live. Everybody who is a human being has right to live. But we must live in a world that is just and fair. And this is where the United Nations has failed woefully. The United Nations that cannot call those who violate the rights of other nations to order is not a United Nations. Yes, it's a kangaroo United Nations. We don't want that. A United Nation that does not have an African country as a member, a permanent member of its Security Council, is not a United Nation. A United Nation that cannot mobilize to preemptively end crisis in countries, especially in the so-called developed world, is not the United Nation that I want to belong to. It must democratize. It must democratize. The moment to make it happen is now. The whole world, we are stressed. The whole world is stressed in of this machination driven by corporations. Yes, that exploit weaker countries and then turn back and say, for instance, they are giving Africa AIDS. How will you give me AIDS from what you stole from me? And then you shove it down my throat and then come and tell me we are helping Africa. Shame on African leaders who have not taking themselves away. And it is our fault because of the quality of people that we put forward as leaders of Africa. It's not like we have a scarcity of those men and women with ideas to deal decisively with all this. But the crookedness of the imperial powers and the poverty of our people that they take advantage of to bring about the worst of us as leaders is responsible. For Nigeria, for instance, Nigeria is a sad story, a very sad story, looking at the struggle of that country since independence. Went through a needless massacre of its own people, created by imperial powers, led by this same Britain that has not left it alone. Over 5 million people were murdered when it was over. And they have not decided to leave the country alone. The people there have not seen any reason to organically unite, to interrogate their history, to question their history, and decide their future. Here in Nigeria, we are still fighting over who becomes president, where he comes from, his religion, instead of serializing abilities, instead of serializing and multiplying capacity to the good, for the good of our people. And they love this. They come and say, okay, we suggest to you, form a government of national unity. Things that they don't do in their own countries, they practice them in Africa. And Africans are so dumb that they are not understanding what is taking place. That this is a game to keep them repressed for the benefit of their oppressors. Now is the time. Are you an African, young and old, woman or man? It's time. Everybody must put his or her hands on deck to turn this whole thing around. It is our call right now. It is the call on this generation of Africans to put an end to what has been hurting our continent and our people. Why should we not? Why can't we develop? Why can't we grow? Why can't we industrialize? Why can't we build our communication system? Why can't we build a robust educational system that educates us for who we are and not outside who we are? Yes, we are educated to be fools. We are educated to be subservient. We are educated to be obedient to imperial forces. We are educated to make us look like schizophrenics, so distant from reality, so distant from who we are. We are educated so far away from who we truly are. We are educated to be copycats. How can a copycat be an original cat? It can't happen. We have to change course. We have to go back to the basics. We have to go and rediscover our moral compass that has been taken away by a people who came as explorers, a people who came as missionaries, but whereas they were mercenaries. A people who came telling us about God above, but below us, they were digging our minerals. A people who came through missionaries who were mercenaries to survey Africa for the movement. Yes, the political class driven by corporate economics. Here we are, 63 years after, mostly averagely 70 years after, we are still on one spot. We are still a confused people. We don't know who we are. We don't know what we want. We can't even feed ourselves. We can't build our own roads. We can't build our own hospitals. We can't build our own schools. We can't just do absolutely nothing for ourselves. Every time we are going cap in hand, asking for foreign help. Every time we are asking them to come and help us. Their forefathers took everything away from us for generations. Every generation is coming to help Africa. So when will Africa develop? When will Africa wake up? When will Africa arise? When will Africa reach its destination? Why are we where we are? Why are we stuck? It is our fault. Because we refused to question ourselves. We refused to look at our history. We refused to apply what we call education that is actually confusion, because we are not. We started asking questions. It's our call to now question our history. It's our call to question what we did wrong, what our ancestors could not do. We appear to be, maybe perhaps our ancestors were even better. Our ancestors, some of our ancestors waged wars. I remember Oba Ovarame. I remember Shaka the Zulu. He waged war against imperialism. Now, what are we doing? What are we doing? Kwame Nkrumah stood up. Nelson Mandela, Oliver Tambo fought apartheid. Samora Machel fought the Portuguese. Augusto Neto fought. Jomo Kenyatta fought. Now, what is our generation doing? Our generation has submitted itself. Our generation is auctioning the continent. Our forefathers, our ancestors who truly fought are spinning in their graves. Why did they keep Patrice Lumumba? Because he refused to be what they wanted him to be. He asked questions. Now, this generation of Africans, where are you? What are you doing? This generation, the entitled generation of African young people, what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't you think you are betraying those who truly put their lives on the line for you to get the type of freedom that you have now that is about to be taken away? A second colonization of Africa is imminent. And actually, it is happening already. Yes, the foot soldiers are here. Some of them are people like you and I, coming in the name of religion, like the ones in Nigeria that they call Boko Haram, the ones in Nigeria that they call Fulani bandits. Yes, those guns they have, they did not make them. The mortars that they are carrying, they did not make them. The bombs they are throwing, they did not make them. They came from somewhere. The people who manufactured those bombs are benefiting from every life murdered. Yes, from every bullet fired. Yes, from every bomb dropped. They are benefiting. They are going to benefit three ways. They benefit with the sale of all those dangerous ammunitions. They will benefit from destroying Africa. They will benefit from coming back to say they will reconstruct Africa. And they will benefit by entirely taking over Africa and turning you into slaves. Yes, in your own land. It's happening. It is already happening. Africa, why are we not thinking? Why are we not thinking? African young people, why are you not asking these questions? Why is it that a Chinese have to come and construct our roads? We have civil engineering departments in universities across Africa. What are the graduates doing? Why do we not have leadership that can empower the graduates from engineering departments in universities across Africa that graduated? Why are they not able to create corporations that will be like manned by these people for them to practice what they learned in school than bringing Chinese? Let them make all the mistakes they have to make, and they get better with it. That was how China got to where it is. China 50 years ago, we are not constructing roads in Nigeria. But they decided to come back. They went back and started asking questions. They wanted to do things by themselves. They have now lifted over how many billions out of poverty in their country. And now they are expanding their funds. Africa is the destination. The same ideology, the same philosophy that those who first came used is what the Chinese are using. They are topping it with a debt overhang for African countries in the name of helping Africa to build infrastructure. Infrastructure built by what? For what? Why can't we be the ones building our roads? Why can't we be the one building our hospitals? Why can't we be the ones building our airports? Why can't we be the ones building our refineries? Why can't we be the ones building everything that we need? Why can't we be the ones feeding ourselves? I saw a Chinese farmer in Nigeria produce the type of yams that Nigerians can only imagine. Yes, from our land. We have these paper pushers, criminals all over, holding our continent, holding our country hostage. We can't push them out. We call them Oga. We vote for them year in, year out. And they cannot do anything. They are fleecing our country. Look at Dangote, Africa's richest, so-called richest man. How did he become Africa's richest man? Through insider trading and exploiting the people. The same thing goes for the big bank owners. They exploit their own people and then want to be in Forbes magazine. Yes, when millions, 99% of their country's population, yes, go to bed on empty stomach. And then you come telling me that you are such a rich man that I should worship for your laziness, for work not done, and then you make all the money. You are every government in power. The economy of the country is in your hands. You control the cement industry. You control everything. Your cement is one you bagged at a papa. You import cement, change the bags, reduce the content, and put your label, Dangote cement. That is what we are dealing with. And when people raise their voice, people, some silly idiots from their tribes, will come. We are talking about one country. We are talking about the destiny of a people. We are talking about the wellness of a country. And you are here defending religion. We are busy defending tribalism. We are busy defending regional nationalism. We are busy defending nonsense all over. Look at where the whole world is leaving us behind. Very soon, I see next year is going to be very difficult for especially Nigeria because of the food insecurity in the land. As the farmers there are not able to access their farm because terrorists and mercenaries have taken over all farmlands, all forests across Nigeria. Yes, and the Nigerian security forces appears to be working with them. And nobody is held accountable. And here you see one drug dealer carry out. This is how sad it is. And then we see my intellectuals, African intellectuals, Nigerian intellectuals. Still, I don't want to just get angry. Africa, it's time. Africa, it's time. It's time we protect young men like Ibrahim Traore. They are doing everything to kill that young man. As it stands, he has been through over nearly 16 coup plots, all masterminded by France. They want to knock him out by all means. Yes. And the hands of puppet leaders from Africa are in it. And I hope and pray that they will not be able to bring that young man down. They are looking for him by all means to knock him out. They are doing everything to knock him out. Africa, it's time to form a parallel army that will defend your revolutionaries. It's time, African young people, it's time to form a parallel army that will defend your revolutionary, that will defend those who are speaking the truth to you, that will defend those who don't want a second colonization of Africa. We are a very, very endangered species right now. These corporations, they are not playing. They mean business. We must not make it easy for them. If you are a black man, any black man anywhere on earth, you must mobilize. You must build a network. Join the network for Africa Unite. You are a Nigerian, join the movement for Open Nigeria. we can do this. We can save our continent. If Marcus Garvey, without a phone, if Marcus Garvey, without access to the internet, if Marcus Garvey, who did not have TikTok, he did not have WhatsApp, he did not have Facebook, he did not have Instagram, he did not have LinkedIn, he did not have anything. If he could inspire a message, if he could inspire something that decolonized, that led to the fight for the decolonization of Africa and the agitation for respect and dignity for black people all over the world in his time. Yes, in his time. Why should you, who have access to all this, what are you using it to do? What are you using it for? You are using it to play games? You are using it? No, it's not all about watching videos. What are you watching? Besides watching your video, can you spend 30 minutes just thinking about how to join a movement for the liberation, for the total decolonization and independence for Africa? There are many of them. Look for them. Africa Unite is there. Open Nigeria is there. And there are so many that we must bring together to form a whole and resist and see if we will not succeed. This is not a moment to get lazy. This is not a moment to say it's not my business. This is not a moment to think that there are some people who are caught out for doing this. You must contribute your own quota. We are not asking you for money. Bring your 30 minutes. Go back to your communities. What are the people there doing? The people you think they are farmers? Yes, any mistake they make will impact you. Go back. Start from your communities. Start from your villages. Bring it to the center. Let us build a whole and work towards the unification of all Africa. That's the only way Africa can be saved from a second colonization. The total unification of Africa. Yes, that is the only way. They know that if Africa is united with one economy, behind one reserve bank, yes, without borders, without all artificial borders met down, yes, and behind one military, no power on earth will be able to stop Africa. They know that, and that is why they continue to sustain the division. That is why they continue to amplify the differences that should exist between we and ourselves. That is why they will continue to inject things that will set us apart and be killing one another for their benefit. It's time, Africa, unite. We have a right to unite. We have a right to self-dignity. We have a right to self-respect. We have a right to be respected by the whole of the world. We are not an inferior people. We are not inferior people that the world think we are. The inferiority complex is what we must fight and defeat now. We are saying it. Take it that you are a human being, a whole human being, as good, if not better, than any other person. Yes, but with respect for others and their space, with respect for their dignity. We have been such a welcoming people. That was why they came and overwhelmed us. Yes, they tricked us. They sold us into slavery. They colonized us. Yeah, they imperialized us. They brought apartheid. And now they are using globalization as their certificate of occupancy to take over Africa. And then expect that nobody like us, we should open his or her mouth. These people are wicked. They don't care about you. That's why it pains me. If people whose forefathers hurt you, generations of their ancestors have hurt you, they can never be your best friend. They don't want you to be. But let us do whatever we do to tolerate one another, to tolerate them. But let them know that we are not stupid, that we can draw lines and make them to respect us, respect our space. We should rise now. And that is what I'm so happy with Thabo Mbeki. I'm so happy with Julius Malema. I am most happy with Ibrahim Traore. I am happy with the young people of Africa that are now beginning to spring up to ask questions. But that is not enough. We must go further and remove all the puppets. Yes, all the puppets that are holding leadership positions in Africa, starting with Nigeria, without delay, without further delay. The Nigerian case is a very special case. An election will not, I'm saying it, an election will not change the story of Nigeria. The people of Nigeria must unite and uproot the evil in their country. Now, if you know 2027 is not going to save Nigeria, we are not going to see any difference if we follow that route of 2027. We will never see what happened in the Edo State. Last weekend, you saw it. That was a big statement. That was a bold statement. Ahead, if we continue to hope that 2027 will be it. You saw what happened in 2023. It's going to be worse than that. Our people are dying. Nigeria is in an emergency situation that requires an emergency action by the people of Nigeria. I am not calling for military intervention. I have no faith, absolutely no faith in the Nigerian armed forces. The Nigerian armed forces has been compromised. There is Boko Haram inside the armed forces. They are holding command and control infrastructural positions there. So any person hoping on Nigerian army to do anything, you are wasting your time. The people, the suffering people of Nigeria must unite and take their country. That is the only way we can make it happen. Yes, we have the number. Let us use it. 1 million, less than 1 million people cannot continue to hold the whole of our people down. Yes, I don't think, well, I don't want to say, let me just stop short of calling Nigerians lazy, but our docility is intolerable. Our docility is criminal. Our docility is ridiculous, scandalously ridiculous. Why can't the people of Nigeria come in their number to say, we have had enough? I hear they are staging a protest on the 1st of October. 1st of October, we come and go. Unless if the protest you are staging in Nigeria is not a protest that will lead to the ouster, the removal of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and sacking the entire political class in Nigeria, just forget it. You don't hold protests at Igbo Square. You don't hold protests in stadiums. Protests ahead on the streets. So if you are caught, that's why I don't trust some of the people behind the protest. That is why I'm not going to be a part of it. I am not going to say any kind word to it, because I know some of these people, they work for the people, they work for the oppressors of Nigeria. So Nigerian people, you need to be very careful, looking at the people. Some are making money off of this protest. When the real protest, the real revolution of Nigeria, for Nigeria comes, you will not need to be mobilized. Nobody will need to come and tell you. Nobody will need to come and pet you and plead with you and ask you, please join us. Nobody is going to rent a bus for you. Nobody is going to rent a keke for you. Nobody is going to buy food for you. Nobody is going to buy water for you. Because it will be a matter of life and death for you to save yourselves, save your families, and save your country. That's how it's going to. It happened in Cairo. It happened in Egypt. It happened everywhere. And when the Egyptians came, did anybody pay them? No, nobody paid them. The way that Nigerians still have food to eat, that is why they are behaving the way they are behaving. That is why they still see the differences between them and other people in Nigeria. That is why they still see Islam and religion and Christianity. That is why they are seeing Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa and Fulani. But when the real hour of deliverance comes, when that hunger, when that chord strikes, that yes, I am dying, my family is dying, my future is dying. I graduated from school 5 years ago. I have no job, and there is no hope that I will have any job. When that moment comes, nobody's going to wake you up. Nigerians will wake up. What we are thinking about is the aftermath of that reaction in order to channel it constructively to produce the type of result that will be good for Nigeria. That is where we are heading. As it stands right now, Nigerians are not hungry enough. If they are hungry, they are hungry, but not they are dying in droves, but not enough yet that will panic everybody to take action. And I pray not for 2027 politically for Nigeria. I want Nigeria to end politically, even as we speak right now. The country is a fraud. Yes, a fraud that expired in 2014 off of the amalgamation treaty that was signed in 1914. When 100 years after the contract expired, are we not supposed to be negotiating in another country? Are we not supposed to be in a new contract? Yes, signed by everybody. The first one was signed by only six, two Fulanis, two Yorubas, one Ibibio, that's the Obong of Calabar, and one the Shehu of Borno. Yes, one Kanuri. Six signed Nigeria away to Britain. Yeah, though as an imperial company, Royal Niger Company, that they tried to build into a country. Yeah, in 1960, the country has failed to stand. We can make it stand. I love Nigeria because I look at the bigger picture. I don't want Nigeria to be dismembered. I don't want Nigeria to be. I'm not fighting for to break Nigeria up as it stands right now, unless it becomes the last resort, to save life. But I am looking at the bigger picture. I want a Nigeria that will be Nigeria. I want to